There's a moment in every connection with a woman that most men feel, but can't quite articulate. It's subtle, almost invisible, but undeniable. The warmth she used to bring begins to cool. The way she'd light up your phone with energy now turns to slower, shorter responses. Her presence, once vibrant and consistent, starts to flicker. And in that flicker, something inside you senses the shift. It doesn't matter if it's been days or months when the energy tilts. You feel it. Most men, in that moment, panic. They think they've done something wrong. They scramble to fix it, sending longer texts, making more calls, trying harder to keep her attention. But that instinct to overcorrect is exactly what deepens the imbalance. Because what she feels isn't just your words, it's your energy. And when your energy becomes needy, reactive, overly available, it sends a message: you can give me less, and I'll still give you more. That's when the polarity dies. That's when the mystery fades. The man who stands apart in that moment, the high-value man, does the opposite. He doesn't react emotionally, doesn't rush in to reassure her or beg for validation. Simply observes. When he sees the change in effort, he answers it not with more attention, but with space. That space is intentional. It's not a punishment. It's not a manipulation tactic. It's a boundary. It says, I notice the shift, and I won't chase what's pulling away. In that silence, something powerful begins. She feels the contrast. She feels the lack of noise. And most importantly, she starts to feel the absence of your energy. That absence unsettles her because it's unfamiliar. She expected you to try harder, but instead, you pulled away on now for the first time. She has to ask herself, did I just lose him? Asterisk, pulling away is not about being cold, distant, or punishing. It's about precision. It's about timing. It's the decision to stop pouring energy into a space that's no longer meeting you halfway. Most men have been conditioned to believe that more effort equals more love. So when a woman starts pulling back, they compensate. They lean in harder, try to reignite her attention with affection, gifts, reassurance, validation. But this only widens the gap. Because now, instead of creating connection, their energy feels like pressure. The woman feels it. The tone shifts. The pursuit starts to suffocate. She may not say it aloud, yet she senses that she's no longer responding to a grounded man. She's reacting to a man desperate to keep her interest. And that desperation is what quietly repels her. But a man who knows his worth reads that shift and doesn't chase it. He pulls back not as a tactic, but as a reset. That silence isn't loud or dramatic. It's calm, detached, and deliberate. It's the choice to let her feel the change instead of hearing about it. No paragraphs, no accusations, no emotional breakdowns. Just stillness. And that stillness is where everything starts to shift again. Because women don't always respond to effort. They respond to emotional impact. And nothing creates more impact than the moment you remove your presence without needing to announce it. She expected you to fight harder. She expected you to ask what's wrong. But when you don't, when you calmly withdraw your attention and energy, her expectations collapse. Her mind goes quiet. A reflection begins. That's the moment she starts thinking about you in a way she hasn't before. Not because you chased her, but because you didn't. That absence, that void, does something effort never could. It makes her feel your value instead of just seeing it. Asterisk, when you continue to emotionally invest after a woman's effort has faded, you send a subtle but dangerous message. My value is negotiable. Every unanswered text, every plan you initiate that she passively agrees to or worse, ignores becomes another thread unraveling your self-respect. You start to feel the imbalance, but you ignore it, hoping it's temporary. You think if you just show her more of your heart, she'll remember what she once saw in you. But attraction doesn't work that way. You're not reminding her of your worth. You're proving to her that you don't see it yourself. That's what really causes her to pull away. It's not the lack of effort on her part, but the fact that you're still showing up fully for someone who isn't. And once she sees you accept less, she subconsciously gives even less. It becomes a downward spiral. You become the emotional janitor, cleaning up the silence with effort, patching the gaps with attention, hoping that if you just do enough, she'll return to how she was. But she won't, because you're continued. Investment tells her she doesn't have to. That's when you lose her. Not because you weren't enough, but because you stayed too long in something unbalanced. The high-value man, the emotionally aware man, does something different. He feels that imbalance and doesn't explain it, doesn't fight, it adjusts. He creates distance not out of spite but out of truth. He's no longer trying to convince her, he's observing, he's testing the energy. He steps back to see what happens next, not because he's afraid of losing her, but because he's no longer willing to lose himself. That emotional pause becomes a mirror. She's left with her own reflection, and suddenly, your silence becomes the loudest thing in the room. It's not because you disappeared, but because you finally respected your worth. Asterisk the moment you pull back. With calm, something powerful shifts. Not just in her, but in you. You stop reaching, stop grasping, stop trying to maintain something that no longer feels mutual. And in that pause, in that quiet withdrawal, she feels a tension she didn't expect. Not anger, not punishment, just space. And space is a powerful teacher. It confronts her with the reality that your attention was never owed, that your presence had weight, and now that it's missing, so is the comfort she took for granted. Most women are used to men doubling down when they pull back more calls, more texts, more effort. But when you don't follow that script, and you let the air thicken with uncertainty instead of words, you disrupt her pattern. Suddenly, she's no longer in control of the emotional rhythm. She's on the receiving end of something rare. A man who isn't trying to win her. He's trying to keep his balance. That's what flips the polarity. It's not about punishing her for drifting. It's about reminding her of what she felt when she was earning your attention. That spark, that curiosity, that edge. You can't force her to chase. But you can create a vacuum, and nature hates a vacuum. If she values you, she'll feel it. She doesn't, your silence will reveal it. Either way you win, because now you're no longer blindly investing. You're collecting data. You're giving her the opportunity to choose you, not out of guilt, but out of desire. And that difference matters. When you pull away with purpose, not as a game, but as a boundary, you show her something most men never do. That you don't beg to be kept. You walk with dignity. And that quiet confidence is what leaves the deepest mark. Asterisk pulling away isn't just about regaining her. Tension, it's about regaining your own center. It's about stepping out of the emotional fog and realizing how far you drifted from yourself. When you were overextending, checking your phone constantly, analyzing her every response, adjusting your energy to match hers, you weren't being grounded. You were orbiting her. The moment you stop, the moment you decide to pull back and redirect your focus, clarity rushes in. You start to see the truth, not the one you hoped for, but the one that was always there. Maybe she wasn't as invested as you were. Maybe the connection was never mutual. Maybe she just enjoyed the attention more than the relationship. Whatever the case, you stop guessing. You stop bleeding energy. And that decision, that return to your own rhythm, changes everything. Suddenly you're not waiting for her to validate. You're not wondering if she's thinking about you. You're not stalking her stories, hoping for a sign. You're focused. You're steady. You're aligned with your own life again. That's when the power shifts, not because she's watching, but because you are. You're watching how you show up now. You're watching what you tolerate, what you accept, what you pour into. Most importantly, you're watching who earns access to you. That shift creates a different kind of attraction, not one based on effort or need, but one based on magnetism. You become the man who doesn't chase attention, because his own peace is more valuable. You become the man who can walk away not because he's cold, but because he's centered. And whether she comes back or not, you've already won. You've reclaimed your emotional power. From that place, you no longer seek chemistry, you demand alignment. That's the moment you stop losing yourself and start attracting what's truly meant for you.